وهو عن أنواع المعالجات حسب الشركات المصنعة إليه. عندنا المقدمة introduction. What is the processor? Simply, it is the CPU, which is a small chip installed on the motherboard, and it is a computer like the human, and not a zombie life that the processor is the whole box or bug. The most famous manufacturer of processors in the world is Intel Corporation. It is the first in this field. IDM is its strongest competitor. Processor speed measured in megahertz hour GB and GB 1024 megabyte and the higher the processor speed, the better. Cache with him, the large the cache size, the better the processor. It helps in crank out the largest number of data processor in the shortest time. Front and bus speed is the speed of data transfer to the process, and the higher it is speed, the better. Core, it stores state for the processor. A process, there are two core processes, and now there are up to 4. We start with Intel processor. Celeron processor, a processor GB that contains a single core. The front bus speed is 533 megahertz, and the cache size does not exceed 256 kilobytes at the time of its production. Modern program. Pentium family. Pentium 4HT processor, a processor that contains a single core, which is the weakest of the Pentium cache and has become old. The cache size in the last processor product ranges between 1 megabyte, and the front bus speed is 800 megahertz and is stable for those who want a good device and for normal home use. The Pentium Extreme Edition, a dual-core processor and in upgraded classes of Pentium with a cache size of 4 megabytes and a front bus speed of 1066 megabytes, which is excellent. A Pentium D in this dual-core process. The size of the cache in the last releases of the category is between 2-4 megabits, and the speed of the front bus is 800 megahertz, but its temperature is somewhat high. But in general, its performance is good and stable for the majority of uses. Pentium 4H Extreme Edition, process. It is a process that has on kills and is in advance for proofs and cache size up to mega and the speed of 800 megahertz, but its problem is high and of course this affects this core family. Core 2 Duo process with the cache size of 4 megabytes and the front and bus speed of 800 to 1333 megahertz with great performance, low temperature and angry sipping. Core 2 quiet process. Double the process. The size of the cache is 8 megabytes. Is speed of the front bus is 1066 megabytes, and its speed reaches approximately 2.6 gigahertz. Core 2 extreme process is the best and most powerful process that Intel has produced, which is a guide core process. The size of the cache is 8 megabytes. The speed of the front bus is between 1066 to 1333 megahertz and has a great capacity to break its speed, which is 2.9 gigahertz. Here we have finished with Intel process and start with computer company is IDM process. The PROM process is the weakest of the IDM process and is equivalent to the Intel Celeron process. It is weak with the large program and application cache size 128 256 kilobyte 1600 megahertz and single core front bus speed. Athlon 64 process is a single core process and considered the first in the world to support 64-bit technology. The cache size is 512 kilobytes to 1 megabyte and the front bus speed is 2000 megahertz, which is better for the average user. Internet office is and this faster. Its temperature is lower and its price is lower. Athlon 64 to process die-core process cache size of 12 megabyte front bus speed of 200 megahertz performs a great even for its price and it is excellent in terms of performance, stability and low heat. Athlon 64 FX blocks processor. The processor is the strongest and best processor for IDM, the most architectural and the best. The speed stability of and performance of which are developed into one single core, 1 mega cache and 2000 megahertz from base speed, two dual core, 2 mega cache and 2000 megahertz front speed bus speed, three dual core, destined to be installed to processor on the motherboard, the cache in 4 megabyte and the front bus speed 2000 megahertz. IDM launched processor for laptops 1600 megahertz on 64 technology processor, 1 mega cache and a single core, 1600 megahertz front bus speed, sports 64 bit, turn 64 to cache processor with dual core, 1600 megahertz front bus speed. Summary: we find that Intel distinguished compared to IDM by the large cache size that arch in a single processor to 8 megabyte, while IDM reaches 2 megabyte in Intel. The processor reached a guide core with a single processor, while IDM reached dual core IDM processors that have a greater ability to break their speed, that is, increasing the speed of the processor over its original speed. Intel was the first to invent threading hyper technology, that is, to execute two things on the processor at the same time. IDM was the first to introduce a processor with two cores. Question: which is better in making Intel or IDM processor? To the core, two extreme process is the best and most powerful processor in Intel. What are your intention and how much cache size has? What is the best and most powerful processor for IDM? Serious hot pass.